Check out my boy YPL Films. You plan life, you gotta plan it right.
Yeah. Yeah. They done took the... Yeah. Mars. Yeah. Lightyear. Conscious Rockstar. Yeah. Yeah, they done took the wrong route. Ha, the wrong route. No passion in what you give. It's surrounded by all doubts. Took the wrong route. Ha, now you strung out. Fella, show the real. You know what it is. I'm zoned out. They took the wrong route. Ha, the wrong route. No passion in what you give. It's surrounded by all doubts. Took the wrong route. Ha, now they strung out. You fella, show the real. You know what it is. I'm zoned out. Hey, what you wrong route? Yourself, little nigga. I'm trying to get a deal. Trying to get my pack, get my buffs. I'ma pop a seal. Hey, see, this is the basic type of mind out here in the field. All they want is money for material. Can't keep it real. Hey, boy, I'm out here slapping. If you ain't booming, you can't come and chill. I'ma look at you just like an op, but I never kill. 40 on my waist, clear your face like some Clearasil. See here where I stay, that's how they do it. Hate it, but it's here. That is so cliche. If you don't read that, she mean basic. Got my own line of work. I'm a boss in the making. I'm a boss. I got work. I got Zans. I got white. Yeah. I got heart. I got soul. Try me, you gon' die. They done took the wrong route. Ha, the wrong route. No passion in what you give. It's surrounded by all doubts. Took the wrong route. Ha, now they strung out. Fellas, show the real. You know what it is. I'm zoned out. You took the wrong route.
Bitch, I said stop calling me about the same shit. I don't got no trust for you. Came up already off the loan for this bad kid. What's going on, man? Hey, broke ass bitch on the phone trying to argue with me. Some child support. You know what I'm saying? What dog think he is? Fake ass nigga? On set. Fake ass young. I almost shot them young. What up, little Bow Wow? What's going on with you? Yeah, but you do know, dog, bro. I don't know what's going on with that nigga. Watch that nigga. You got like 2 carat gold chains on. I don't like it. I hate it. Watch that nigga.
Rappers took the wrong route, they follow us. They can't set no trends, they think they fresh if it's designer. But I'ma stand my own, just be me if you don't like it. Fuck, nigga won't get far. Hating on a nigga like it, stand your ground. Stand your ground. Don't look down when you up on all these niggas. Never let them see you frown. Had to show what y'all doing so damn easy, it ain't my style. Every time I'm in your presence, I'ma have to shut it down. Took the wrong route. The wrong route. No passion in what you doing, surrounded by all doubts. Took the wrong route. Now they strung out. Fellas, show the real. You know what it is. I'm zoned out. Took the wrong route. Wrong route. No passion in what you doing, surrounded by all doubts. Took the wrong route. Now they strung out. Fellas, show the real. You know what it is. I'm zoned out. Zoned out.
Alright, they done took the wrong route. Alright, that was my boy Mars Lightyear with that wrong route. This is the Black Podcast Show. Y'all follow my boy on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that. That's another Milwaukee, Wisconsin artist that's out here doing big things, that's out here being lyrical, spitting those bars. You dig what I'm saying? Alright, so once again, this is the Black Podcast Show. I would love to welcome you to my platform. My name is Auchante. I am your humble and gracious host, the one and only host of the Black Podcast Show. And this is the only Black Podcast Show online hosted by me, your girl Auchante. So, with the Black Podcast Show, you get a couple of different segments in one. So, I'm going to jump right into my first segment, because it's going to be a little short this week. But it's very, very, very critical. This is actually probably the most important segment that I do on this show. So I want you to take what I'm about to say, receive it, accept it, put it in your heart, lock it in there, and take it with you throughout the week. You know? All right. This week's motivation is me versus me. The quote for this week is, winning doesn't always mean being first. Winning means you're doing better than you've done before. Bonnie Blair said that. I'm going to repeat that one more time for y'all, just in case you didn't catch it. I said winning doesn't always mean being first. Winning means you're doing better than you've done before. And I thought that quote, when I read it, it really, really, really kind of touched me. It really made me feel the way. Because that's so true. That's so true. And when you kind of adopt that philosophy, you don't get so caught up in what other people are doing. And that's something I really like to preach, because I feel like when you got like a goal in mind, that's one of the biggest things that holds me back personally, and I'm sure other people as well, is for one, maybe worrying about what other people think, and for two, feeling like I'm behind or being left behind because other people are further along. So when I read that, I realized that it was a couple of things that can help us keep that in perspective. And the reason I call it the motivation me versus me today is because that's the only competition we really need to be in. Now, don't get me wrong. When we're talking about sports, physical competition, you are competing with other people. So it's not necessarily just about that. Let's not pick hairs. Let's not split hairs, rather. But when I say me versus me, if I can do better than I did last year, if I can do better than I did last month, even if it's just mentally, then I'm winning. You know what I mean? Me personally, I'm doing better than I was doing last year for a lot of reasons. But I'm proud of myself. And if I was worried about what other people my age was doing, I wouldn't be able to be proud of myself. So a year ago, I was staying with my uncle in his spare bedroom. And now I just recently moved into my own apartment. And that's something small, especially for me being 29, but I'm doing better than I was doing a year ago. I'm making more money than I was a year ago. I'm being more responsible and more stable than I was a year ago. Yeah, it is people my age buying houses. It is people my age getting married. That's, maybe on their second house for all I know. But that's okay. I'm happy for them too. I can be happy for them and their big accomplishment and still be happy for myself and call what I'm doing a big accomplishment, because that's how I feel about it. It's me versus me. So what's important is staying focused on the task at hand. I noticed that when I go to work, sometimes I can get distracted by little things. It might be something like Facebook. I can get distracted by my coworker saying something. I can get distracted by getting hungry. Now I'm ready to go on lunch, and I'm not focused on work. But the task at hand at my job is to sell a car. And I have to stay focused on that task, because me talking to my coworkers is not going to give me no money. We're in competition with each other, as a matter of fact. Me looking on Facebook talking to y'all, it could give me some money if I'm focused on the task at hand. But if I'm distracted and I'm just scrolling through, looking at what y'all talking about, looking at y'all kids' pictures, they beautiful, but that's not the task at hand. That's not going to help me get some money. You know what I'm saying? Reading all those memes and jokes and stuff, it's cool. It's a time for that. But not when the task at hand is work, selling cars, whatever your task is. When the task at hand is getting ready for my show, listening to a podcast, doing research, writing stuff down. There's a task at hand. And also, keep first things first. That's another way that we're going to stay on track and win. That's another way we're going to elevate ourselves above what we was doing last year, last month, 2 years ago, whatever. It's keeping first things first. So we know what's important. We have to keep that first in our lives and stop making other things first. I'm going to end up taking this grill out. I had to shine on y'all again, but this thing is hard to talk in. I feel like I'm just spitting everywhere. But keep first things first. Prioritize what's important and keep it that way. Don't do it like that for a little while and then fall off. Something that I was watching a training video about sales. Now, me personally, I've been in the sales industry for about 10 years. My first sales job, I was 18, I was working at Sears. That was the first time somebody ever told me, I'm not going to pay you an hourly rate. I'm going to pay you straight commission based off what you sell. And I was pissed because I didn't know that was the nature of the job. I was so mad. But I've been in sales for 10 years now. And honestly, I forgot what I was going with this because all I wrote down was keep first things first. The point is, keep what's important important. Keep what's important first. Dang, I really hate that I lost my train of thought just now. I need to quit smoking weed probably. But I'm probably not. So, keep first things first. Stay focused on the task at hand. Like I said, for me, I sell cars now. I'm not going to try to remember. I'm sorry, y'all. I suck. But it's okay. Because, I mean, my only competition is that person in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me go into this quick story I was going to say. I was going to say it doesn't feel good. It doesn't make me feel good to be doing better than others. It makes me feel good to be doing good, but it doesn't make me, just because I'm doing better than somebody, that's not the thing that makes me feel good about myself. So, for instance, I like I said, as y'all know, I sell cars, and here and there, the guys I work for, in commending me for doing well, will kind of shoot a slug at my coworkers. And it's all fun and jokes. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing personal. It's nothing to actually make nobody feel bad. But I also have to emphasize that to let them know that doesn't make me feel good. We are all people here. We are all the same. We all have the same abilities. We all have the same access. We all can sell the same amount of cars. You know, it's all about what we do when we're at work, or what we do when we're outside of work, or what we could have built before we even got to this job. You know, I work with people that's been selling cars for 10 and 20 years. They have relationships with customers from 10 and 20 years ago. So when I get in there, I have to bust my butt every day and build new relationships with people in order to be better than I was yesterday. I have to remember what I said yesterday, how maybe I got frustrated, how I may have lost a sale because maybe I gave up on a customer. And I have to remember that, and the next day figure out how I can make sure that I don't do that again. So that's all you can do. That's all any of us can do, is realize what you did wrong and try to repair it and move forward. Stop looking at what other people are doing, because maybe they have already been through that phase that you're going through. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. So it's up to us to identify our weaknesses and improve them. It's not up to us to identify other people's weaknesses or to harp on other people's strengths, because once again, you don't know what they had to do to get where they are. Like, just like a fat person could see a skinny person and say, oh, they get all these people, they could never understand my struggle. But you don't know that 5 years ago, they was even fatter than you. And they had to work out and change their whole life, and it was hard, but they went through that. And what I'm realizing more and more is that to be better is hard. To go through change, to improve yourself is really hard. It's really hard. But it just depends on which hard you want to take. It's hard staying in the same place. It's hard doing the same shit and not seeing no improvement. It's hard wanting to be a millionaire, but you stuck making minimum wage. So which hard are you going to choose? You're going to choose the hard that keeps you in a bad situation, or you're going to choose the hard that 5 years from now, you're going to see some results and you're going to be where you want to be, or at least closer than you are right now. So I just wanted to say that, y'all. Like I said, winning does not always mean being first. Winning means you're doing better than you've done before. And if you take that with you, I'm sure that it will help you continue to do better. All right? So that was the motivation for this Monday. Motivation Monday. This is the Black Podcast Show. And with that being said, I'm going to jump right into my next segment. And this segment is going to be in regard to the love saga of Amy Fisher and Joey Buttafuoco. Buttafuoco. What a strange last name. Buttafuoco. I don't know it's a joke in there somewhere. I can't quite pick it, but it's kind of smooth. Joey Buttafuoco. Anyway, Joey Buttafuoco was pretty much a predator, pretty much a sleazy scumball, and he met 16-year-old Amy Fisher back in May of 1991 when he was 35. So, as you can imagine, this situation didn't go well. A 16-year-old and a 35-year-old became friends. That's them two at that time. That's Amy on the left, Joey on the right. So, back in May of 1991, Amy's family took her to the Complete Auto Repair Shop where Joey worked, where he was, I believe at that time, part owner. That might have been his family's business. So there's been a kind of dispute of that story. Some say that she had gotten into some kind of car accident and she wanted to get fixed without her dad knowing. Others say that at this point, her parents had took their car there, and that's how she met Joey Buttafuoco. Anyway, they met, and according to both of them, they became friends, which, like I said, is a huge red flag. A 16-year-old and a 35-year-old have no business or no reason to be friends. It's that simple. Of course, their relationship turned sexual. At one point, Amy was at the shop getting some work done on her car, and I believe this was when she was getting work done without her dad knowing. So, she was getting work done on her car, and she has to leave her car there. So Joey tells the guys at the shop that he's going to take her home, which everyone says, these are what the guys at the shop say, at most is a 30-minute task. And I'm actually adding to it. They said at very most it's a 30-minute task. And it was 3 hours before Joey returned. And Amy ends up saying that this was their first time having sex. That when he took her home that night, they actually ended up having sex. A couple of months later, Amy tells Joey that she needs money. And I'm guessing, at this point, he had been wine and dining her, which I'm sure it's not very hard to wine and dine a 16-year-old, especially when you're 35. You got 20 years on her. So he's been whining and dining her, this was one thing she said, that when he took her out, it was her first time using a cloth napkin. She had only been using, like disposable napkins. So he took her somewhere where they gave her, the little cloth napkin that you sit on your lap. And she was impressed by that because she's 16. So, anyway, it's been a couple months that they've been interacting. She tells him she needs some money. And I guess that either he couldn't afford to give her money, which would make sense because he was married with 2 kids that he was supporting. But Joey tells her to become an escort. Yes, this grown-ass 36-year-old man tells this 16, maybe 17-year-old girl at this point. She might have been 17 at this point. But he tells her to be an escort, to sell her body. So, in essence, he was actually her pimp. He should have got charged with sex trafficking, now that I'm thinking about it. He should have got charged with sex trafficking of a minor. But anyway, so he put her on to this escort service he knew about, which any grown adult woman would have been wondering, okay, how do you know about this escort service? When you get to a certain age, certain stuff is not only a red flag, but you know that there's a backstory behind that. So a 16-year-old, she don't know to think, how do he know these people with this escort? Because he been getting escorts, and he might have something. A 21-year-old might not even know to think that. You don't start thinking like that till you get 25, 26, 30. A 30-year-old woman, he say, oh, maybe you should, I know this guy that got an escort service. She asking questions. How do you know this guy? An escort service. Do you order escorts? You fuck sex workers, which is fine. Let me stop, because I might say the wrong thing. And so anyway, he tells her to become a sex worker, become an escort, and she does it because this 16-year-old, this girl is a people pleaser. She's a teenager, she is wilding out, don't get me wrong, but she's trying to win the affections of this older man. And it's so much manipulation. Stories like this really make me upset because what ends up happening is the girl ends up being the villain. when it's a situation like this, the young girl ends up being the villain as opposed to the grown adult in the situation. So Amy was wrong. She was wilding out. She knew better in most of these situations. But I'm going to hold the adult the most accountable. Because when kids go on a field trip, who's responsible for them? Their teacher. When any adult is in public with any child, who's responsible for that child? The adult that's with them. As a matter of fact, until you get a certain age, when you do anything, people say, who are their parents? I know your mama would be ashamed. People say that up until you get a certain age, because the adults in your life are accountable for you until you reach that certain age. So Joey was just a complete scumbag. Anyway, he got her prostitute and her parents got her a pager, and Amy is so naive to where she at school bragging that she got a pager for her clients. It scares me a lot of time when I think back on some of the conversations I had as a teenager with other young ladies. It really concerns me because it's so much stuff that was going on that it didn't seem like a big deal then. It seemed kind of strange maybe, and I'm sure that's what the kids in her high school thought, dang, this girl out there, she crazy. But it's actually horrifying to think about a fucking teenager at high school talking about, oh, my clients, my dates, my dudes. You having sex with multiple guys for money? That's scary to think about a 17-year-old being out there like that. But it happens. It is just life at the end of the day. So, after a while, this was around May of 91 is when they met. And then November of 91, Amy starts getting restless, I guess. So she ends up going to Joey Buttafuoco's house. She ends up actually, before all that, she had started asking people to kill Mary Jo Buttafuoco for her. The reason being is that after Mary Jo after Amy and Joey had sex, because she's a teenage girl, she thinking they in a relationship. She thought that was her man after that. She said that. After they had sex, she thought that was her boyfriend. And it's grown-ups that think that after you have sex, we together. And that's cool, but not to the extent that she went. She's a kid. So she goes to this lady's house, knock on the door, and she's like, oh, I got some candy for sale. That's Joey and his wife, Mary Jo, his former wife, because she moved on. So she goes to the door and is like, oh, I got some candy for sale. And the lady's like, no, I'm good. Mind you, this is November 1st. So it's a day after Halloween. Amy didn't think about that, once again, because she a kid. I'm going to stop saying that, but she was. So she goes to the door and she's like, hey, I got candy for sale. And the lady's like, hey, I don't need no candy. It's the day after Halloween. I got plenty of candy. I'm actually stocked up. So Amy is like, please, will you buy this candy? It's for the school. It's for, it's fundraising, da-da-da-da-da. So Mary Jo is, of course, like, all right, whatever, come in. She invites her in. She buys the candy bar from her. And Amy runs off. And Mary Jo immediately looks at the candy bar and realizes that she just got it from the store because it still had the little 59-cent sticker on it. So she was kind of like, whatever. She was kind of like, oh, she just scammed me. But she just didn't think too much of it. So maybe 6 months later, the next year, Amy goes back to Mary Buttafuoco's house again. But by now, Amy has had the time to actually acquire a weapon. Now, before, she was actually just asking people to kill her boyfriend's wife. She wanted someone to kill Mary Jo Buttafuoco. But nobody would do it. Now, when she went to the house the first time with the candy bar shit, she had a guy that was supposed to kill her. She had this guy who she had been introduced to by another guy she asked. And so this guy tells the new guy, hey, just go along with her. Just do it. Just kind of go act like you're going to do it. And she'll fuck you. She'll give you money and she'll give you sex. So the new guy, I can't remember his name for anything, but he went along with Amy for a couple months, and she did. She gave him some head. She even gave him money. She gave him like $800 to sit outside of Mary Jo and Joey's house and just stake them out. And this kid ended up saying that he knew when Mary Jo and Joey left, when their kids went to school, when they came back. He knew what grocery store she went to. And he did all that for $800 and some head. So at the time when he was supposed to actually kill Mary Jo, he couldn't do it. According to him, he couldn't get a good shot. But I think that he just didn't have the heart to do it, which is a good thing. I don't mean he didn't have the heart in like, oh, he was a pussy. I mean, like, he knew that it wasn't right. He probably knew that he was killing an innocent woman. So anyway, time goes on, and Amy ends up meeting another guy. And she just randomly meets this guy at the fair. It was nothing. She had known him for a long time. But anyway, she meets him and tells him that she need a gun. And he tells her he can get it for her. Because he had also heard that she would give him a sexual favor. So they was really just passing Amy around. And even Joey was passing her around because he had not only put her onto the escort business, but once he started kind of wanting to end the affair with her, once he kind of wanted to shake her off, he actually told his fitness instructor, he introduced her to his fitness instructor, a 30-year-old man. Mind you, she's still 17 at this point. So he introduced her to another grown man for her to have sex with. And so, anyway, Amy goes to Joey and Mary Jo's house again, 6 months later, knocks on the door. Mary Jo opens the door, and Amy tells her, I just thought you should know your husband is having an affair with my little sister. And Mary Jo said she was so caught off guard that she kind of just laughed because it was this young girl at her door, and she said, how old is your little sister? Because she's looking at her like, how old are you? So she said her little sister, she said, how old are you first? And Amy told her she was 19, even though she was only 16 or 17. And she said, how old is your little sister? And she said, she's 16. So all this is just a lie. She doesn't have a little sister. Amy was the only child. And so she said, what's your name? And she said, my name is Anne Marie. So I don't know what her motivation was. I'm guessing that just her being a child and not knowing how to address actual conflict, or just realizing once she got to the door that she didn't know what to say or how to talk to a grown-ass woman. Because that's what Mary Jo was. That was a grown-ass woman. And so Mary Jo is kind of like, and I do think that Mary Jo should have took the allegation a lot more serious. Or I believe that Mary Jo could have handled it differently, but she was kind of caught off guard. And so she was like, well, how do you know? And she was like, oh, I found this t-shirt. So, like I said, Joey worked for this car repair place, and Amy actually had these t-shirts that he had gotten made. And they were a new, kind of design of t-shirt. So no one else had one. So it was strange that she had that shirt, but Mary Jo was just kind of like, okay, whatever, I'll tell him you came by, I'll let him know. And she was like, well, don't you think that you should do something about your 40-year-old man sleeping with this 16-year-old? And she was like, well, what do you want me to do? So I don't think that Mary Jo's response was really acceptable, but that's what it was. She said that she was a good Catholic girl, and I think that she just didn't believe in conflict within her family or confronting her husband, or she certainly didn't believe in divorce. So I will give her that. I don't know what the motivation was, but she was basically like, bitch, fuck you. I don't care what you're talking about. And she turned to go back in the house and close the door, and that's when Amy shot her from behind, shot her in the head. And Mary Jo said it just felt like her head exploded. And, of course, then she was out. She went into, I guess, a coma. So the doctors were Mary Jo was in a coma for at least like a week or two. The doctors were not able to remove the bullet that was in her skull. I believe it's still there. But she did end up waking up. And when she did wake up, thank God that one of her neighbors actually heard the gunshot and rushed right over to her. And when she did wake up, the first thing she did was ask for a pen and a pad. She couldn't talk because she had, of course, after getting shot in the head, she has to have a bunch of surgery. So she had a air tube stuffed down her throat so she could breathe. So she writes down Anne Marie, 19-year-old brunette. And basically from the description that she gave, Joey ends up realizing immediately that it was Amy that shot her. So he tells the police that that one of his customers is a 16-year-old girl who was obsessed with him, and she probably did this after he rejected her advances. Complete bullshit. So, of course, eventually the police find out who Amy is. They arrest her, and this whole story blows up. And it's just this... It's a story of a teenage bad girl. She's depicted as a bad girl, as a wild child, the Long Island Lolita. And Joey is depicted as just the, pretty much like a middle-aged knucklehead. Boys will be boys type of stuff. And it's so wrong. It's so wrong how the media blew up this coverage of Amy and depicted her in such a negative light, as if she seduced him. And at one point, a sex tape had actually came up from one of Amy's other clients. So like I said, she was hoeing. Okay, I don't know the proper term. I don't know the actual, like, politically correct. She was sex working, and one of her sex tapes came out. A guy leaked her tape. And of course that made her look even worse. But for me, it was so disgusting that they actually aired the tape. This is a 17-year-old girl. They actually aired this tape. I mean, I'm sure they didn't show the actual sex, but it's child pornography. It's just messed up that we didn't have the terminology back then to say that. Of course not. We're not going to show this video because it's child pornography. And to tell that reporter who actually got access to the video, I would want the police to tell him, you have to tell us where you got this video from. Otherwise, you're going to jail. Because why are y'all passing around tapes of a minor having sex, being statutorily raped, in order to push a story? So... but actually, Joey did end up facing charges. He did end up going to jail for statutory rape because it was later on determined that he and Amy's relationship started and became sexual before she turned 17. Apparently in New York or New Jersey, 17 is the age of consent. So at the age of 17, Amy could legally consent to have sex with 36-year-old Joey Buttafuoco. But because Joey is such a fucking sleazeball that he sat up there and bragged to his coworkers, the other guys at the shop, that he had given Amy her first orgasm. Yeah, those guys don't like that. They probably got daughters and nieces and little cousins. So they went to the authorities and told them, like, hey, this guy had been bragging about this. I know he had sex with her before she was 17 because he told us that he gave her her first orgasm when she was 16. So Amy did end up going to prison. She did end up serving 7 years. So she got out when she was 24. And surprise, surprise, she actually got out due to a letter of recommendation from none other than Mary Jo Buttafuoco. Yes, Mary Jo Buttafuoco ended up getting in contact with Amy's mom. They developed a relationship, a friendship. And then Mary Jo started writing Amy in prison. And they would, communicate back and forth. And they ended up, I'm not going to say they became close, but Mary Jo advocated on Amy's behalf for her early release. So Amy got out, and Joey only did like 4 months, so he ain't really do no real time. They don't give a fuck about young girls. They, like I said, they really try to put the whole thing on her. So nowadays, Amy and Joey are actually, I'm gonna say this, they're actually doing exactly what you would expect both of them to do. Amy ended up becoming a porn star. According to her, she didn't know what else to do. She couldn't get hired nowhere, and she had kids to feed. She ended up becoming a porn star. I'm not going to say that she couldn't get hired nowhere, but it's just kind of like, I kind of feel bad for the path that she took. I believe that maybe she had some trauma in her childhood that went unaddressed. She said she didn't have a good relationship with her father, so maybe that's what it was. She said that he would yell at her and be mean to her and treated her bad. Her and her mother had a really good relationship, so I don't know. I actually have pictures of Amy and Joey now when they've even been on TV together. So both Amy and Joey really kind of milked the situation. They both kind of wanted to be in the public eye. Amy was actually recorded at one point saying that she deserves a Ferrari after all the pain and suffering she's gone through. Not the pain and suffering that she put Mary Jo through after she shot her and she had to have her face reconstructed, but the pain that she had to go through after sleeping with this woman's. It's a very complex story. I'm gonna say that. I feel really bad for Amy in so many ways, but also she did something that she knows she didn't have no business doing. Joey, I don't feel bad for at all. He a piece of shit. Mary Jo, I kind of feel bad for, but I also feel like she should have addressed the situation in a better way. So, yeah. That's the true crime for this week. They're all out. Mary Jo and Joey actually divorced. They're no longer married. And like I said, Amy is doing her porn thing. Alright. So with that being said, we are going to move on to the TAE Talk. And I'm going to do some Am I the Assholes real quick, because I got a couple other things I want to talk about. But I got 3 I'm going to do really quick. And if we could get them up, that would be perfect. Because I'm not even sure which order I'm going to go in. Okay. So this first one is, am I the asshole for getting mad about my mom marrying my fiance's dad? Yes, this one is crazy as it sounds. Alright, this girl says, I'm a 24-year-old female. My fiance is a 24-year-old male. We've been together since our sophomore year of college, so about 5 years now. For context, my mom, who's a 50-year-old female, had an affair with a coworker when I was 16, leading to my parents' divorce. She's been single ever since, going on dates with no serious relationships. I have a good relationship with my dad and his new wife. Sadly, my fiance's mom passed 2 years ago due to cancer, and his dad has been single ever since. My fiance proposed last year, but our wedding was delayed due to COVID. Our families had never met up to this point because his family lives in South Carolina, whereas we're in North Carolina, where we went to college, around a 3-hour drive away from his dad. 3 months ago in January, we decided that it was time to have our families meet up for the first time to discuss our upcoming wedding in June of this year, 2021. It'll be held in our backyard, COVID appropriate, immediate family only, blase blase. Anyway, my dad and his wife, my fiance's dad, and my mom all met at our place to meet and discuss the wedding. This went well, albeit there was some tension between my mom and my dad. This morning, out of the blue, my mom called me and announced that she had eloped. I was shocked, as she had not been dating anyone to my knowledge. Upon questioning, it turns out that she and my fiance's dad had been dating in secret since they met in January and had married in secret yesterday, making my fiance my stepbrother. I want to throw up just thinking about this. She said that I should now cancel my wedding because it would be inappropriate to marry my stepbrother. I'm absolutely horrified. I shouted at my mom, saying that she just loves ruining my life and called her selfish. First she cheated on my dad, and now she went and married my fiance's dad, knowing full well I was about to marry my fiance. My mom said that I was young. and I'd have the chance to meet someone new, but she is old and has to take every opportunity she's got. And so I was an ungrateful bitch for not approving of her quote-unquote marriage. She then accused me of wanting her to die alone. I don't think I'm the asshole, but I just wanted to make sure, because ultimately I don't want her to have to be alone, even though I think that she did that to herself by hurting my dad. I think I should be allowed to marry my fiance as we met first. I'm also 12 weeks pregnant with my fiance's kids, so that complicates matters even more. We haven't told anybody yet. Am I the asshole for being mad at my mom for marrying my fiance's dad and because she said I can't marry my fiance anymore? Okay. I'ma just say, obviously, you're not the asshole. I'm not sure who on earth would say that you were. I think that your mom is beyond an asshole. She's kind of a bitch, like, for sure. Because asshole is like, you just do some fucked up shit. But asshole would have been if she fucked your fiance's dad and expected you not to care about it. Bitch is like, you remain in an act of doing some fucked up shit. So, I'm going to say, yeah, your mom is a complete fucking bitch. She's trash. She is like complete, utter garbage. And you talking about don't repost this. My mom doesn't have Reddit, but she does have Instagram. I don't want her to find out. Fuck her. The fuck you mean you don't want her to find out? I hope she do find out. Mom, Karen, this is about you. You know what? And I bet you your mom is one of those ones that wear that mixed lady hairstyle. You know that not the mixed lady, the white lady that sleep with black dudes haircut. Y'all know that cut that every white lady that sleep with black dudes got. The long swoop on this side and then the short bob on this side. It's the Karen. That's the I asked for the manager haircut. Her mama has that hairstyle. I know she does. So yeah, you're not the asshole. Your mama's trash. And I think that you should not invite her to the wedding. And I don't know about his dad, because on the edit it says that his dad sees no issue with them staying together. But still, like, he did some fucked up shit too. They too old for that. They way too old for that. Alright, so you're not the asshole. We're going to move on to the next letter. And I'm not sure which one it is, so I'm going to have to wait and see. Okay, this is the one I wanted to do. Am I the asshole for kicking out my mother-in-law? I thought this was funny as hell. My mother-in-law recently came to visit, as she was unable to come during Easter. Our family, my husband, kids, and myself, don't really celebrate Easter religiously. We give the kids Easter baskets, put on some Easter movie, have a fat dinner, and that's about it. Mother-in-law is aware of this, and usually she keeps her thoughts and feelings to herself. However, when we visit her for Easter, we do humor her and let her read us some verses. We do this at her house. We've made it very clear we don't care what our kids believe and allow them to express themselves religiously as they please. One of our children is a practicing Buddhist. All of our kids are old enough to understand and choose what they would like to believe. They are 11, 15, and 16. When mother-in-law came, we were in the middle of making each other Easter baskets. She sat down with us and asked when she'd be allowed to start reading some scripture. We told her we wouldn't be doing that in our home, but if she wanted to read some scriptures alone, we'd clear the dogs out of the library so she could do so. She said she wanted us all to sit with her and read scripture. She kept at it, and the overall feeling of the day was kind of dampened. I asked her that if she just couldn't leave it alone for today, that she should just go. She asked my husband if he was going to let me treat her this way, and asked our kids to come read with her. They all respectfully said no. She called us horrible and told us that we were encouraging our kids to live terrible and unhealthy lives. My husband and I asked her to leave and tried to continue with the night. Our family has been calling us since, telling us that my mother-in-law's faith is very important to her and that Easter is a religious holiday and we should have at least let her read the scripture with us. I'm starting to feel like an asshole now, and she won't speak to us. Am I the asshole for kicking her out? See, this one is actually kind of hard for me. I'm going to say, kinda. You're kind of the asshole. I mean, because she's kind of the asshole for, like, trying to push her religion shit on y'all. But, I mean, come on now. Like, as we all have older people in our family, and we kind of just let them... Because I'm not saying that you shouldn't have peace in your own home. So I don't want to say that. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to set the standard and the rule and what you want to occur and not occur in your home. But I think that compromise is a thing. And my thing is, who was she going to hurt by reading the scriptures? You could have told her, well, hey, why don't we all sitting here making each other Easter baskets. You can read some scriptures right now. We'll listen. You know, old people, they really believe in heaven and hell. So when she's trying to read all these scriptures, when she's trying to, it don't seem like she really tries to push her religion on you too much. But when she is trying to get you into it, it's because she genuinely thinks that y'all's and y'all's kids' souls are in danger from damnation to hell. So I think that it comes from a place of love. I don't think that she should be allowed to be disrespectful to you and your home. But I think you could have compromised and let her read the scripture. It wasn't going to hurt. So, are you the asshole for kicking her out? Yeah, kind of. You kind of the asshole. Like, I wouldn't stop fucking with you behind it. I would probably just laugh, but I think you kind of the asshole. I think you should reach out, and I would apologize for making her feel away. I wouldn't apologize for not wanting to hear the scriptures or whatever, but I would apologize for making her feel unwelcomed or however she felt. So, yeah, you kind of the asshole. You sound like a Brittany. Brittany, you're a fucking asshole. You could have let your mom-in-law read them scriptures. All right, I got one more, and this is the favorite one that I've been wanting to read. This one was funny as hell to me, and definitely some shit that I would have done, and I might have to post this on my Facebook, actually. All right, this lady says, am I the asshole for taking a tip back? My husband, a 29-year-old male, and I, a 28-year-old female, went out to eat dinner a while back at a sit-down restaurant. When we got there, our server introduced herself to us and then, poof, disappeared. We basically had to flag her down for her to take our order, check the status of our food after 40-plus minutes, ask for our beverages, ask for utensils, etc., while the restaurant was not busy at all. After an hour and a half, we asked for the check. In total, everything was $30. I paid with a $100 bill. The server came back with $30 as change and the wrong receipt. I asked her what happened with the rest of my change and that she had the wrong receipt as we didn't order $70 worth of food. She proceeded to roll her eyes and get her manager. Her manager asked us what was wrong. I told her she brought in the wrong receipt to us and owed me $70 in change and only gave me $30. He brought back my $100, the right receipt, and counted my change out in front of me. I thanked him and left 15% on the table. As I'm walking out, I hear the server talking to the hostess, saying I was cheap for asking for all my change back, and that she would be surprised if I had left anything on the table. I proceeded to go back, grab her tip, and put it in my wallet. As I walked out, I told her that she was correct and not to be surprised when she saw nothing on the table, as she didn't deserve it. The hostess and herself were speechless and apologized. They thought I didn't hear them. We usually tip no matter what. However bad the service is, but I don't know the anger that came over me and made me take back what I had left. My husband thinks I'm kind of an asshole for not leaving anything, but I wanted to stand my ground because I thought she was undeserving of a tip. So Reddit, am I the asshole? I'm going to say hell no. Hell no. Only way you're the asshole is if it was some other circumstances going on that maybe you didn't know about. But even still, like, man, if you got a job that's customer service based, show some customer service. It don't matter if you don't want that job or not. And if you know you got a job that's based on tips, you don't abandon your customers. And I've been noticing that more and more lately. And I'm talking about when I go to places that's not packed at all. I'm not talking about when I'm going somewhere and it's clearly busy. I'm talking about when I'm going somewhere, it's not packed, and I see you and the other fucking waitresses and shit in the corner of the kitchen kikiing. Where is my goddamn spinach and artichoke dip? That's why bitches don't be getting tips. It's not, and you know what? This young lady, I wish that Reddit had profile pictures, because as a black person, it's so hard not to tip. It's very, very, very hard not to tip, because you don't want to be a part of that stereotype. I mean, some people don't care, but me personally, I hate being like a part of that stereotype. And there have been times where I haven't tipped. It's been times where I couldn't afford to tip. That's the only time I don't tip. Well, that's the only time I haven't tipped in the past, is because I couldn't afford to sometimes. But sometimes that's the only place that's available to eat. So, I'm going to say, you're not an asshole. The waitress sounds like an asshole. She sounds like, let me think. She sounds like her name would be like, Zia Mara. She giving me Zia Mara vibes. She is. I don't know why. She just giving me Zia Mara vibes. Like she foreign, but like American foreign. You know what I'm saying? Like, she really American, but she like second or third generation. Like, her parents and grandparents was hard workers, but they spoiled her, so she got a badass attitude. That's the vibe she giving me. And I don't know what vibe you giving me, but you're not the asshole. That's the whole point. Fuck her. You're not the asshole. She didn't deserve a tip, but I probably would have still left. I don't know, because it sounded like she was giving really bad. Because of what she said, no, you're not the asshole. So real quick, I'm going to run through these last couple topics. So I'm going to just shoot them up on the screen fast as you can. I got 5 minutes. I think the first thing is going to be this lady from Louisiana that was arrested after refusing to return $1.2 million that was mistakenly put in her account. This got my blood running hot. How y'all arrest this woman for refusing to return a blessing that y'all bestowed upon her? If she would have returned it, she would have been ungrateful. And I know me, I'm not ungrateful. If somebody dropped $1.2 million in my account, it's getting utilized immediately. So let me say, it says, she was a 911 dispatcher, found herself in jail for refusing to give back the $1 million that was mistakenly put in one of her bank accounts. She was fired and booked in the same day. It says, she is accused of immediately moving the money to another account and using some of it to buy a new car and a house. I mean, I don't see the issue yet. Like, that's exactly what I would have did. I would have moved that shit so motherfucking quick, because if you drop $1.2 million in my account and I'm not expecting it, what I am expecting is for you to try to get your money back. And that's not going to occur. You can't make mistakes like that. You just cannot. It says she has no legal claim to that money, even if it was put there by mistake. How do I not have legal claim to the money that is in my bank account? See, this is some white people shit. She's charged at theft, bank fraud, and illegal transmission of monetary funds. That is some fucking bullshit. And she currently being held at bail set for $50,000. Would y'all have returned the money? No. I mean, maybe now I would, because I see what's going on. But this is like some, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, conspiracy or something. Like, you should not get, this should not be a crime. She didn't do nothing wrong. They talking about theft. The person who put the money in there should be getting charged with theft, not her. So this really pissed me off. Free you, man. Free her. I don't know her name. Oh, I do know her name. Actually, we gonna give sis a shout out right quick. Hold on, y'all. Just real quick. We gonna give sis a shout out, because we gonna free her till it's backwards. Hold on. It's free Kellen, Kelyn. Free Kellen till Kellen free. Kellen is free you till we see you. And if you got a GoFundMe, I might drop about $5 on your GoFundMe. Alright. What else? Oh, yeah. So a 7-year-old girl was actually killed at a drive-thru in McDonald's in Chicago. So rest in peace, baby girl. Rest in peace, Jaslyn Adams. I thought that was just the saddest thing I've heard. It's always something. And a 29-year-old man was also seriously injured. I don't know if that was her father, because I had saw this story earlier, but I didn't get a chance to completely read up on it. But I think it may have been her father. And so Safari, of previous Nicki Minaj fame, made the comment, 7-year-old shot and killed, and it wasn't by a police officer, so what's the next step? Who do we hold accountable? Or do we pick and choose when we stand together? Disgusting. So for everybody who has this kind of opinion that says stuff like this, shut the fuck up. Like, please. Just shut the fuck up, because you don't even realize how fucking stupid you sound. Who do we hold accountable? The motherfucker that shot her. Like, it's plain and simple. Whoever shot her, I'm going to assume it was probably another nigga, because they was in Chicago, at McDonald's, in the hood. So that motherfucker's going to jail. What you mean, who do we hold accountable? We hold fucking Pookie ass accountable. Whoever the fuck shot her, Junebug, that's who we holding accountable. Because guess what? When the police catch that motherfucker, he's going under the jail. He's going under it. He's not getting back out. The difference is why it's such a big uproar when it's the police is because the police are here in place and paid to protect and serve us. So when they're the ones that's killing us, yes, it's an uproar. When a citizen kills another citizen, they are held accountable. Typically right away. Or they are found and then held accountable. So, Safari and all you other niggas that think like that, you sound fucking stupid, just so you know. Oh yeah. So I wanted to give away $100, but I ain't even give y'all all the stipulations. I'm still gonna give away $100. It ain't gonna be this week though. I'm keeping it a buck. This gonna give y'all some time though. Next week, on the Black Podcast Show. First time to ever occur on the Black Podcast Show. This is the only Black podcast online giving away money like this. I'm giving away $100 to one of my lucky viewers. And all you got to do is like, share, comment. Like, share, comment. And tell other people to share for their chance to win $100. Next week is going down. I'm giving away $100 for sure. This is not no game. It's not no cap. I'm giving away $100 on Cash App or Apple Pay. So you gotta have Cash App or Apple Pay. I got Venmo too, but I really don't like using that. So make it easy for me. Cash App or Apple Pay. I'm giving away $100 to one of my lucky viewers. And all you gotta do is like, share, comment. And when you share it, tell other people to share it. Because I might do something where, like, the most shares get the 100. But that's kind of unfair. So I don't know how I'm going to do it. I haven't worked that part out yet. I might just see the shares and pick somebody. But I know I'm giving away $100 next week. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. This is the Black Podcast Show hosted by me, your girl, Auchante. Make sure you tune in next week. I got another crazy ass story for y'all. I got some more motivation for y'all, and most important, I got $100 for one of my lucky viewers. It's the Black Podcast Show. Tune in next Monday.
See here where I stay, that's how they do it. Hate it, but it's here. That is so cliche. If you don't read that, she mean basic. Got my own line of work. I'm a boss in the making. I'm a boss. I got work. I got sands. I got white. Yeah. I got heart. I got soul. Try me, you gon' die. They done took the wrong route. Ha, the wrong route. No passion in what you giving. Surrounded by all doubts. Took the wrong route. Ha, now they strung out. Fellas, show the real. You know what it is. I'm zoned out.
The Irie Place.